Hey everyone, and welcome to the Patriot Party. Today I'm joined by someone who has helped millions of Americans navigate the legal system. Colleen Joyce, the CEO of Lawyer.com, the nation's largest online marketplace for finding trusted attorneys. Colleen has nearly 20 years of experience in digital media and legal innovation. And under her leadership, Lawyer.com has become a powerful tool for people facing everything from simple traffic issues to life-changing legal emergencies. Colleen, welcome, and please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what Lawyer.com does.
Matt, well, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. My name is Colleen Joyce. We started Lawyer.com about 14 years ago with the idea of, hey, maybe we can help some people. We threw up a directory, and within minutes, consumers started to call saying, hey, I need a lawyer. What do I do? And as a small startup at that point, I thought, I don't know. What do we do, right? But very easily, naturally, and organically, we thought, hey, listen, we have the ability right now to help people, to give people access to justice. And from that moment on, it has been just amazing to see how many people we've helped. And, we're just getting started, which is fun.
That is wonderful, wonderful hearing. I love what you're doing. I absolutely think this is a Patriot Party approved America First company. Love the vision. Love what you're doing. I'm going to get right into the meat and potatoes, Colleen.
Yeah, totally.
Why do you think so many everyday Americans misunderstand their rights during the most common police encounters?
Listen, I've been with lawyers for 14 years. Like you, I have family members that are lawyers. I, to this point, would not understand because it's scary, it's confusing, right? And it's not the law isn't in plain English. So of course, myself as part of the general population don't understand, right? And that's the challenge. That's what we're trying to change. And I know that's, a big mission that you guys have as well.
Yes. Yes. So, and we might have to kind of bounce off one another a little bit here with my experience, your experience, but I'm going to ask your experience first.
Mhm.
From your experience with the lawyers and the site, what are the top 3 misconceptions people have about traffic stops and roadside questioning?
It's tough. I think the first one would be that they're not sure what to do when they get a ticket, right? You get it in the mail or you're handed a ticket, right? It's a lot of small print and they just don't know what to do first, right?
Mhm.
And they don't know what responsibility they have. So that first initial fear of what do I do? I think that's the most important one to address. And then where do you go from next, right? Okay, you've got the ticket. You've kind of figured it out. Now, do I need a lawyer? Do I not need a lawyer? Can I handle this by myself? Curious what your thoughts are.
My thoughts would be more towards before the ticket. There are so many times when rights are violated,
Mm-hmm.
and when there's I'm going to get right into an example.
Sure.
Driver gets pulled over for something simple, broken
Yeah.
tail light, speeding, rolling stop, and suddenly the officer asks, "Do you mind if I search your car?" Well, maybe you're in a rush.
Yeah.
Maybe you just don't want to have kids in the car and you just don't want to get out.
Yeah.
And people don't understand what their actual rights are in that moment.
Sure.
Because when an officer says, "May I search your car?" they think, well, if he's asking, he's already got permission. I got to just say yes. No,
Right.
you don't. If there is no probable cause for a search, drug paraphernalia sitting out, you look impaired, you can't pass a gun sitting out, a firearm, you can't pass a sobriety test, something, yes. But if you are sober and you were not stopped for that specific
Right.
reason, then you have every right to be nice and say, no, sir, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I don't see any probable cause here, and I have somewhere to be.
Well, that's the education part, right?
Yes.
We have to educate the consumers, the general public, myself, right? We need to educate people to understand what their rights are.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's where it's going to come in with the new civic education that we're doing, so people will know how to think constitutionally,
Right,
how
right,
to understand what to hold the government to, and the law enforcement and the people that have been given this power over the people.
yeah,
But there are limits to that power, and the people, information, knowledge is power, and to
right,
know
right.
what your rights are, you can nip something in the bud that could turn into you going to jail if you didn't know what your rights are.
Right. Well, that, and the piece that we play in all of this is where we view ourselves as the matchmaker, right? You need to be educated on what happens next. And what we can do is we can help find you that attorney that would then give you that education. Now, obviously, having the education beforehand going into it is very helpful, but we both know that that's not what's happening. So
No.
making sure that you find an attorney that's going to help and educate you through the process is a very, very important step in all of this.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But in my mind, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Sure.
So before I let something get too broken, if I could keep it from being broken and then get the proper representative, it's going to be easier for the attorney to represent me if I knew what my rights were, so I didn't let the police trample all over me and then try to work uphill.
Right. Well, and I know that's what you guys are working on, but that's a
Yes.
big task. That's not an easy thing to do, right? I don't know, I've been in this business for 14 years. I don't think I fully know all my rights. I'm
Well,
being honest, right?
I think another thing that people get confused with is the difference between consent and probable cause.
Right.
If you consent, if they ask you, can we search your car, and you say yes, you have consented. You no longer have any rights. You have consented.
Right.
But if you say no because they don't have a right to search your car and you've given them no right to search your car, then you have put up that barrier. And even if in the end they end up being able to search your car, now your attorney he's got a toehold. Now he's got something to fight with, and you're making his job easier, which in turn makes your job easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's, that education. I'm huge on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, let's talk about phones.
Yes.
Officers sometimes ask, mind if I take a look?
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, and then I'll chip in if I need to, what do you think every American should know about refusing a cell phone search?
I think you have to understand what your rights are in that regard, right? So right away, the first thing I would do is say, here's my phone, right? Because you're just trying to go through the motions. But again, it goes back to, I don't think people truly understand the ramifications of what could be on your phone in that regard. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely, and you have to. It's kind of a two-edged sword, I believe. You don't want to impede an investigation if you haven't done anything wrong. You want to try to cooperate with law enforcement. But the minute you see that it's flipping and they kind of take a controversial stance, or you feel like you're being targeted, or you feel like
Right.
something's not right, I'll tell you what every lawyer in my family told me to do if anything like that ever happened. They said the only thing that should come out of your mouth is I have nothing further to say until I speak to my lawyer.
Yeah.
And shut it down. That way you don't incriminate yourself,
Right.
because they will twist what you say.
Yeah, that, it's tough. It's tough to know, where do you even find a lawyer, right? That's kind of how that's
That
where
is,
we
yes.
come in, because uh the ability to have that kind of powerhouse domain when you're in that situation, what do you do? Okay, well, I'm going to go to lawyer.com, or I'm going to call them, right? To hopefully get connected, to get some help, to get the information.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think another thing that people need to know, I wanted to do like a combination show here where
Yeah.
people get a lot of information on where to get a lawyer,
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
and a lot of information on maybe how to make the lawyer's job easier, or maybe how not even to need a lawyer. I mean, in essence, that would be the goal for the American people, not to have to pay out of their pocket. But if they do have to pay, you're where they need to go.
Yeah. Well, that, and also there are a lot of cases that the lawyers aren't going to take, right? So that's kind of where we're talking about AI, right? You need to understand the limitations of an AI, but you also need to use that as a tool while you're trying to understand if you even have a case or not, right? Do you even need a lawyer? And for good or for bad, AI is there, and it should be what we are starting with.
Oh, it gives us the ability. I mean, it's so far past as Google. This whole movement it would not be feasible. The size of it, the scope of it without AI. I wouldn't be able to be working on it right now.
It's amazing.
So, go ahead.
I said that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Everybody's scared of AI. I'm like, as long as AI doesn't start independently thinking on its own
Right,
to
right,
where it can view us as a big problem for the world and then
right,
turn on us, I think we're okay as long as we boss it around and we use it to clone parts of
right.
ourselves.
For like 6 months, we're safe. We'll see what happens in 6 months.
It might not be that long. Who knows what they're doing over in China?
Yeah.
Um, so I think another thing that would help the American people
Hmm.
is a lot of people have the misconception about recording a traffic stop.
Hmm. Yeah.
You are able to record a traffic stop as long as you are not impeding the officer in any way.
Yeah.
You can't impede the officer, but you are allowed to record it.
Hmm.
And if they try to stop you from recording it, well, can I use it to speak to my lawyer then because I want this on record? Something
Right.
to initiate. Because I mean, like I know, if a person doesn't know their rights versus a person that gets stopped that starts speaking very legally, in legal jargon, that makes the police officer and the people there take a step back. Whoa, wait a minute. We don't want to mess with this person as hard as we might with another person. And I think that gives which it shouldn't even be that way. Everybody should get those rights.
Right. Right.
Ideally they should.
Right. And it's tough to try to give out legal advice because we're not lawyers, right? The best thing that we do is say contact your lawyer, right? Do your research and contact your lawyer. Educate yourself and then kind of jump to what's next after that.
Yep, yep. So if someone listening wants to protect themselves before they ever need a lawyer, what do you think would be a simple habit that they should adopt?
I think it goes back to education, right? You
Okay.
have to understand kind of how are you going to protect yourself, right? What does that look like? And don't get in trouble. Right? Like if you're crossing that line, you better understand what it looks like on the other side.
That is true. So I want you, Colleen, to walk us through how exactly, step by
Mhm.
step, lawyer.com works.
Yep.
If someone needs legal help fast, say after a traffic stop, a rights violation, or a misunderstanding, how does your platform connect them to the right lawyer?
Yeah, sure. So very simple and very fast. We find that consumers are calling us on their worst day, right? And it stinks for the lawyers because they're just there to help, but they're getting everybody on a very unhappy circumstance, right? Very rarely are you excited that you need to hire a lawyer. But what happens is they'll come. We have a team of amazing intake specialists that are answering calls 24/7, and they're connecting you with law firms. So the person either comes in, calls, or sends a form, and then immediately we're matching them with our database. And that's kind of like where our special sauce comes in. We're
Okay.
matching them with our proprietary engine that then sends it out to local lawyers. So as a consumer, you come to lawyer.com, you fill out a form or call us. Within minutes, lawyers are calling you saying, how can I help you? Right? Now,
Okay.
we have found that it may take a few conversations with lawyers to find that perfect match because they may not handle that practice. They may be busy. You may just not have that chemistry that you need. There's so many factors that go into that actual matching. But the fact that the lawyers are contacting you and you're then contacting the lawyers, right? That match happens. That's when the process really begins.
Okay. Okay. So you've championed innovation in this space. Why is it so important for Americans to find verified, reputable attorneys instead of taking their chances on Google searches or social media?
It's hard. Well, two prongs. One is you want to always make sure you're doing your own research, right? Everyone's going to go to Google, everyone's going to go to Instagram to make sure that there's that credibility check, right? But it's really in talking to the lawyers whether you know that that's going to be a good match or not. So what we think is very important is let us give you options, and then it's what you do with those options, right? You've got to then kind of do the work to find out who your perfect match would be. We're like a dating service.
Well, I got you. I mean, yeah, it just matches you up. And what
Yeah.
I love is when I was reading about you, it says you're a big advocate for transparency, and
Yep.
we're huge
Yep.
into the truth and this whole movement started with truth and constitution because
Mhm.
truth matters.
Yeah.
Well, it's because hashtag truth matters.
Right.
That's where the start of everything was. So we're really big into the truth, transparency. We're done with these people meeting and the means justify the ends. We're going to meet and do backroom deals, but we're not going to tell the
Mhm.
public because they can't handle it.
Right.
We want the truth, and then let
Right.
us decide what we think.
Right. No, and that's so important. I think as a platform, the fact that we can serve everybody kind of gives us that playing field where it's like, these are the facts. This is the type of lawyer that you're going to need. This is the process. You then use the tool, how it works best for you. But we are very kind of open with, hey, here are all the attorneys that would be able to help you with your case.
Cool. So, Colleen, if you could leave this audience with one piece of advice about staying calm, safe, and legally protected during police encounters and anything that, you may want to add in with lawyers.com,
Yeah.
what would that be?
I think the most important thing, it kind of goes to what your movement is all about, is that we really, as a population, have to be very educated from the start on what our rights are, on what our options are, because that's a huge part of kind of this access to justice. Every single person should have the right to have access to a lawyer, right? And they really have to understand what that looks like. And if anyone could take anything away from that, it's what we hope to do at lawyer.com is provide an open playing field so that if you need help, we will do our best to match you with a lawyer who's in your area.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Is there anything we missed or anything else that you'd like to share before we close out?
No, I don't think so. And again, it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
We can't wait to follow and watch along and cheer on the sidelines. And I really appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us today.
Absolutely. Colleen, can you stay in the studio for a moment while I wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Let's all thank Colleen Joyce for joining the Patriot Party. Be sure to check out the link to lawyer.com in the episode description. To all you out there, know your rights, stay safe, and tune in this Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, where truth meets every corner of the